Welcome back to Hollywood Echo. On screen, they face down cybernetic assassins and nuclear apocalypse surviving scenarios that defined a generation's nightmares. But when the director calls cut, the real survival story begins. From screen icons to the scene stealers living in the margins, the reality for the Terminator roster outweighs any fiction Cameron could script. Here in 2026, we analyze the trajectories, the quiet tragedies, and the legacies that outlasted the Judgment Day they never saw. Paul Winfield grounded the 1984 original, infusing Lieutenant Ed Traxler with a weary gravity that anchors the film's absurdity in gritty police procedural realism. This wasn't a novice finding his footing. Born in Los Angeles, 1939, Winfield entered the franchise not as a prop, but as a heavyweight veteran of stage and screen commanding immediate respect. Traxler isn't the hero on the poster, yet Winfield's delivery balancing dry wit with genuine paternal fear for Sarah Connor steals scenes from the cyborgs. He elevated the human element amidst the carnage. Beyond the 1984 precinct, his filmography reveals a masterclass in range and depth. Notice his Academy Award nomination for Sounder, proof of his ability to carry emotional weight far heavier than a sci-fi blockbuster. From the historical significance of Roots, The Next Generations to the intergalactic diplomacy of Star Trek, he navigated genres with effortless authority. Winfield possessed that elusive gift, inhabiting a role so fully that even minor characters felt lived in, intelligent, and undeniably three-dimensional. Working steadily until his passing in 2004 at 64, he left a blueprint for character actors, quiet power, often shouting louder than the leads. Earl Bowen provided the franchise's connective tissue as Dr. Peter Silberman, the smug psychologist oblivious to the apocalypse unfolding around him. Silberman represents the ultimate skeptic, the arrogance of intellect, dismissing the impossible, convinced he is the smartest man in the room. That arrogance holds firm right until a T-1000 walks through bars and shatters his reality. A New York veteran with a sprawling resume, Bowen brought decades of stage discipline to what could have been a throwaway role in 1984. His return in Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Terminator 3 wasn't just a cameo. It was a character arc spanning decades. Rise of the Machines completes the tragedy, transforming him from a condescending skeptic into a man broken by truths the world refuses to believe. Beyond the camera, Bowen cultivated a second empire in the recording booth, dominating the voiceover industry. Gamers recognize that sardonic bite in World of Warcraft and Monkey Island, while animation fans recall the warmth he brought to Clifford, the big red dog versatility, defining a career. Earl Bowen departed in 2023. At 81, he left a filmography bridging cult cinema and digital frontiers. He remains the ultimate proof. There are no small parts, only actors capable of echoing through an entire franchise. Franco Columbu's screen time is a masterclass in efficiency. His brief appearance as a future Terminator sells the machine threat through sheer, relentless physicality. Born in Sardinia, Italy, 1941, Columbu didn't need Hollywood to validate his status. He arrived as a living legend, a two-time Mr. Olympia and pound for pound one of history's strongest men. His fame transcended borders long before cameras rolled. His legacy is inextricably linked to raw power and a brotherhood with Arnold Schwarzenegger that defined an era. Together, they didn't just participate in bodybuilding. They engineered its explosion into a global cultural phenomenon. Columbu transitioned to cinema by weaponizing his compact, explosive frame for hits like Conan the Barbarian, Stay Hungry, and The Running Man. In The Terminator, his silhouette in the future war sequences solidifies the terror, proving Skynet's avatars are ubiquitous, cold, efficient, and biologically designed to terminate. Off-screen, he pivoted from destroying bodies to healing them, influencing generations as a chiropractor, author, and elite trainer. Franco Columbu passed in 2019 at 78, remembered as a titan of iron and an indelible fragment of action cinema history. Bill Paxton enters the frame with blue hair and unmatched attitude. His stint as the punk leader in the opening minutes serves as a microcosm of his career. brief, cocky, and magnetically watchable. Born in Texas, 1955, Paxton ground his way up from set dresser to leading man, understanding the machinery of film before ever commanding a scene. That behind-the-scenes grit fueled an on-screen persona defined by rubbery expressions and an offbeat, manic energy. His fatal confrontation with the T-800 wasn't just a plot point. It was the industry's first taste of his scene-stealing capabilities. James Cameron recognized the gold, redeploying him for Aliens to deliver Hudson, the panic-stricken Marine who defined the movie and later for the vampire noir Near Dark. By the 1990s, Paxton had evolved from eccentric character actor to the industry's most reliable anchor. He carried massive productions like Apollo 13, Twister, and Titanic, while grounding thrillers like A Simple Plan. His artistic ambition culminated in Frailty, a self-directed psychological thriller that revealed the dark sophistication of his storytelling instincts. Behind the lens, his reputation was spotless, generous, hilarious, and deeply professional. Bill Paxton left us in 2017 at 61, the only man to be killed by a Terminator, an alien, and a predator, yet immortalized by them all. Forget the standard police caricatures found in lesser films. Lance Henriksen injected Detective Hal Vukovich with a weariness that felt dangerous. He brought a razor-sharp, exhausted edge to the role, perfectly mirroring the grim, neon-soaked texture of Los Angeles that defined the Terminator atmosphere. Born in New York City in 1940, Henriksen channeled a chaotic childhood into his craft, evolving into one of cinema's most compelling character actors. Instantly distinguishable by his angular features, gravelly voice, and intense internal processing, he joined the franchise at 44, bringing gravitas from Close Encounters of the Third Kind and The Right Stuff. As Vukovich, Henriksen anchors the narrative's surrealism in procedural grit, shifting from cynical detective to horrified witness as Sarah Connor's nightmare scenario bleeds into terrifying reality. His creative synergy with James Cameron deepened in Aliens, where he pivoted to play Bishop, a beloved, empathetic android, standing in stark contrast to his vampire volatility in Near Dark. Fronting the TV series Millennium solidified his standing as a genre icon, proving he could carry a dark narrative solo. Now in his 80s, he remains a master of the craft, respected for making even the smallest roles feel haunted, lived in, and unmistakably human. Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 didn't just enter the frame. It stomped a permanent footprint into cinema history. Born in 1947 in Thal, Austria, Schwarzenegger engineered his own global dominance, capturing the Mr. Olympia title 7 times to become bodybuilding's first transcendent superstar. Hollywood was the strategic next step, utilizing the momentum from Conan the Barbarian to partner with James Cameron in creating the emotionless killing machine that stalked Sarah Connor through the streets of 1984 Los Angeles. At 37, he turned limitations into assets, using stillness and silence to terrifying effect, forging a villain so distinct that 3 words, "I'll be back," became an eternal cultural touchstone. This role launched him into the action stratosphere, paving the way for Predator, Commando, and Total Recall, while the T-800 itself evolved across sequels from Relentless Hunter to Unexpected Savior. Pivoting from entertainment to governance, he led California from 2003 to 2011, tackling environmental and economic complexities with the same discipline applied to his business empire. Decades removed, his embodiment of the Terminator stands as the architectural pillar for modern action and sci-fi, setting the standard for physical performance. Joe Morton injected Terminator 2, Judgment Day with its moral pulse as Miles Dyson, the brilliant Cyberdyne engineer unwittingly architecting humanity's demise via Skynet. Born in 1947 in Harlem, Morton refined his precision in theater before translating that intellectual gravity to film, becoming the go-to actor for emotional depth. Dyson represents the terrifying banality of destruction. A decent man, realizing his life's achievement is a death sentence for billions. Morton's performance transforms a plot device into a tragedy, particularly in the moments where the catastrophic truth shatters his worldview. His frantic attempt to dismantle his own legacy and rewrite the future stands as the film's emotional crescendo, grounding the sci-fi spectacle in human sacrifice. Outside this universe, his range shines in The Brother from Another Planet and Speed, peaking with an Emmy-winning tour de force as Rowan Pope in Scandal, backed by decades of stage excellence. As one of Hollywood's most esteemed craftsmen, his portrayal of Dyson remains the definitive cautionary tale of how catastrophic consequences often spring from the noblest intentions. Linda Hamilton didn't just play a character. She deconstructed the action heroine archetype. Born in 1956 in Maryland, she entered the franchise at 28, depicting an ordinary waitress shattered by an impossible reality. By the time Terminator 2, Judgment Day landed in 1991, that waitress was gone, replaced by a muscular, traumatized survivalist. Consumed by apocalyptic foresight, Hamilton's physical metamorphosis was absolute, creating a Sarah Connor who felt dangerously real, tough, scarred, and unwavering. She embodied the primal force of a mother whose ferocious love for her son compelled her to alter the trajectory of the human race. This wasn't just a role, it was a paradigm shift, establishing the blueprint for every gritty female protagonist that has graced the screen since. Beyond the apocalypse, she captivated audiences in the romantic fantasy series Beauty and the Beast, while maintaining a steady presence in the industry. Her return in Terminator, Dark Fate decades later, proved her gravitas remains undiminished, reminding viewers of the weight she carries. Linda Hamilton stands as a cultural monument, demonstrating that cinematic strength requires a seamless fusion of physical dominance and raw, painful humanity. Michael Biehn didn't just play a soldier. He injected a beating heart into the Terminator franchise through Kyle Reese, a warrior navigating a paradox, traveling from a dead future, not just to save Sarah Connor, but driven by love for a woman he had never met. Born in Alabama, 1956, Biehn sharpened his craft at the University of Arizona before landing on James Cameron's radar, a meeting that would define sci-fi history. At 28, he deconstructed the action hero archetype, layering hardened combat skills with raw vulnerability. Reese isn't a stoic Superman. He is exhausted, traumatized, and desperate. Biehn forces the audience to see the tenderness buried under the PTSD. His chemistry with Linda Hamilton provides the narrative's emotional anchor, transforming a slasher-style thriller into a tragic, time-bending romance. Cameron capitalized on this intensity again in Aliens, casting Biehn as the steady Corporal Hicks, and later in The Abyss, cementing his legacy as the genre's most reliable grounding force. He proved his range extended beyond lasers and cyborgs, with a standout turn in the Western classic Tombstone and a diverse action portfolio. While he sidestepped the mega-stardom of some peers, Michael Biehn commands deep cult reverence for the intensity and honesty he brought to Kyle Reese, setting the gold standard for science fiction's doomed heroes. Ipatha Merkerson might only have minutes in Terminator 2 as Teresa Dyson, but her grounded performance creates the tangible emotional stakes for Miles Dyson's narrative arc. Born in Michigan, 1952, Merkerson is a powerhouse who built a reputation for characters that radiate quiet strength and complexity. In T2, her role as a confused wife and mother is brief, yet it underscores exactly what Dyson is sacrificing. She shifts the story from abstract apocalyptic theory to a deeply personal family crisis. Beyond the Terminator universe, Merkerson became a broadcast legend as Lieutenant Anita Van Buren on Law & Order, dominating over 380 episodes. Her Emmy and Golden Globe wins for Lackawanna Blues prove she is capable of profound dramatic weight. Later, joining the cast of Chicago Med, she continued her reign as one of network television's most consistent and respected talents. Merkerson's gift is making every second count. Even a minor character like Teresa Dyson lingers in the viewer's mind long after the credits. Role: Robert Patrick completely redefined screen villainy, with his predatory, liquid performance as the T-1000 in Terminator 2. Judgment Day. Born in Georgia, 1958, Patrick battled through the Hollywood grind of odd jobs before securing the breakthrough of a lifetime with James Cameron. At 33, he embodied a shape-shifting assassin by stripping away all humanity, relying on pure economy of movement and menace. There is no wasted energy, no anger, just a relentless, algorithmic focus. His cat-like grace made the T-1000 feel genuinely alien, serving as the perfect, sleek counterpoint to Schwarzenegger's heavy, industrial tank-like presence. The performance remains a masterclass in antagonism. Patrick leveraged this success into a massive career ranging from The X-Files and The Sopranos to Walk the Line and Peacemaker, showcasing a terrifying range across drama and dark comedy. Renowned for his discipline, he stands as a pillar of character acting. Yet, for global audiences, Robert Patrick is immortalized as the cop who never stops, walking an image that rewrote the rulebook for modern movie monsters. Jeanette Goldstein's role as Janelle Voight, John Connor's foster mother, is a masterclass in brevity, particularly during the chilling kitchen sequence where the T-1000 mimics her. Born in Los Angeles, 1960, Goldstein serves as Cameron's ultimate chameleon, famous for vanishing entirely into contradictory characters. She first exploded onto the scene as the hyper-aggressive Private Vasquez in Aliens, a physical transformation so convincing it became an instant genre icon. Goldstein reunited with Cameron for the vampire western Near Dark, and later in Titanic, playing Ida Strauss, one half of the elderly couple facing death together, a scene that devastated audiences worldwide. Off-screen, she pivoted to entrepreneurship as the founder of Jeanette Bras, a lingerie brand revolutionizing fit for women ignored by mainstream fashion. Her appearance as Janelle Voight adds crucial texture to the T2 world. She represents the unsuspecting, domestic normalcy that Skynet is programmed to obliterate. Bess Mata injected pure 80s energy into the Terminator as Ginger Ventura, Sarah Connor's vibrant roommate, whose aerobics gear and headphones serve as a perfect time capsule of 1980s Los Angeles. Born in California, 1958, Mata was already a fitness icon hosting the 20-minute workout, creating a meta layer where pop culture reality bled into the film's horror. Her casting injects a vital, vivacious energy into Ginger, a character who serves a specific narrative function. She offers a fleeting glimpse of the mundane normalcy Sarah inhabited before destiny and the Tate-100 interfered. Ma portrays her with oblivious charm, relaxed, funny, and tragically unaware of the mechanical horror closing in. This juxtaposition amplifies the shock of her demise, emphasizing just how violently Sarah's reality is fractured. Post-Terminator, Ma leveraged that physicality in television, remaining active in the worlds of fitness and choreography. Yet for the audience, Ginger Ventura remains a frozen artifact of a lost era when Sarah was merely a roommate sharing a flat, long before assuming the mantle of humanity's matriarch. Rick Rossovich channels pure 80s swagger into Matt Buchanan, Ginger's boyfriend, whose ill-timed arrival at the apartment places him squarely in the crosshairs of the Tate-100. Born in California in 1957, Rossovich defined the era's archetype of the confident, athletic male. His performance anchors Sarah Connor's social circle, grounding the narrative in reality before the relentless pursuit begins. Rossovich imbues Matt with a tangible charisma, transforming him from a generic statistic into a genuine loss that heightens the film's stakes. He parlayed this intensity into Top Gun as Slider, cementing another cult classic on his resume alongside roles in films like Roxanne and the series Pacific Blue. Eventually stepping back to prioritize family, Rossovich remains immortalized in that opening act. He stands as a symbol of the collateral damage ordinary lives extinguished by a future war they never grasped. Sean Sheps brings a grounded, natural realism to Nancy, completing the trio of Sarah's social world. Though her screen time is brief, she establishes the domestic baseline shattered by time travel and killer cyborgs. Born in California in 1961, Sheps was a consistent presence throughout the decade, appearing in genre staples, including Weird Science, Lethal Weapon, and The Running Man. Her talent lay in portraying the relatable civilian, grounding heightened sci-fi scenarios with lived-in authenticity. Sheps later successfully pivoted behind the camera, joining the writing room for projects like Encino Man and developing original content. Nancy lacks a theatrical demise, but that absence is precisely why her character resonates. She embodies the casual intimacy that humanizes Sarah, distinguishing her from the mythic figure she becomes. Sheps quietly underscores the narrative's true cost, not just the alteration of history, but the erasure of the mundane existence we take for granted. Stan Yale's desk sergeant does more than fill a uniform. He establishes the mood for the police station massacre. Born in 1933, Yale represented the quintessential working character actor, a fixture across American television in the 70s and 80s on Hill Street Blues, Barney Miller, and The A-Team. He carved a niche playing the weary professional, the invisible gears of bureaucracy that make fictional worlds breathe. His portrayal infuses the night shift with dry, bureaucratic routine, a calm ignorance that makes the Tate Hundred's subsequent breach violently jarring, active until his passing in 1999, at age 66. His career stands as a monument to reliability. His brief appearance reminds us that truthfully played minor roles constitute the texture of cinema history. Edward Furlong's John Connor in Terminator 2 didn't just appear. He exploded onto the screen with raw confusion, capturing the angst of a teenager grappling with a messianic destiny he cannot yet comprehend. Born in California in 1977, Furlong was an obscure 14-year-old when cast beside giants like Schwarzenegger. Lacking any prior acting credits, that very inexperience transformed into his greatest asset. His performance feels unpolished and jagged, perfect for a foster kid processing sudden, world-shattering revelations. Furlong imbues John with a necessary streetwise vulnerability, shifting the boy-machine dynamic into the film's emotional anchor. This role catapulted him to immediate stardom and awards recognition. Notice the fearless trajectory. American History X, Pet Sematary 2, a home of our own strategic pivots, proving he possessed a gritty range far beyond typical teen idols. While the media fixated on his personal volatility, the industry's classic tragic archetype, that same raw instability, is exactly what cemented John Connor's authenticity in our collective memory. 30 years later, this portrayal remains the definitive benchmark, effortlessly overshadowing every polished, soldier-like successor who failed to grasp the character's desperate humanity. He captured something sequels miss: the terrifying, fragile transition from rebellious adolescence to the crushing weight of being humanity's last hope. The credits rolled, but the psychological footprint remains. These roles became permanent shadows, defining the actors' lives just as much as the characters defined the genre. Whether finding serenity or battling chaos off-screen, this cast constructed a sci-fi monolith that transcends generations, proving practical magic beats CGI every time. Does the machine's stoicism or the mother's trauma anchor the film for you? Debate the franchise's true MVP in the comments section. Smash that like button to keep these legends in the spotlight, and subscribe for more deep dive analysis on Hollywood Echoes.